This is homework help for number 34. We are supposed to solve the triangle. So that means find all the missing pieces, so angles or sides. So in this triangle, we are given a side, an angle, and the side in that order. So that means that we are going to use which law? The law of cosines. So we need to use the law of cosines to find the third side, and we also need to use it to find another angle, and then we can use the triangle angle sum theorem to find the remaining angle. So let's find a side first. So using the law of cosines, you can use any of the three equations. I, on the key, just kind of mixed it up. So for this one, I just used the one that had b solves for, but it really doesn't matter because as long as you put the pieces in the right places, you will be good. So whichever angle you know, then that has to be what's here on the side by itself. So sometimes what I'll do is rewrite it, this exact same thing with the letters given, but since this has an O, I don't want to rewrite that with the O. I'm just going to leave it here. So B is playing the role of O. So I don't know that, but I know B plays the role of O because that's the angle that I know. And remember, these two have to match to be from the same vertex, and then the opposite side, they have to go together. So B squared is equal to, and then A squared and C squared, or A and C, are played by M and N, so it doesn't matter which one comes first. So 21.5 squared, that's M, plus N, 31.5 squared, minus twice M times N, so twice 21.5 times 31.5 times the cosine of 133 degrees. And then we just need to solve that. So what you can do is plug all of that into your calculator at once, get that value, minus, you can plug the 2 times 21.5 times 31.5 in your calculator all at once, get that, and then don't multiply it by the cosine of 133 yet, okay, equals b squared. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because we, in order to find an angle, actually need this value. So this ended up being, this part, the first part, 21.5 squared plus 31.5 squared was 1454.5. And then this value was 1354.5. All right, now I'm just going to plug all of this into the calculator, and then we'll square root that answer. So your final answer would be square root of all that business, but I like to put the first part in first. So I'm just going to tell you what I get when I type in 1454.5 minus 1354.5 cosine 133. It is about 2,378.266779. And then I'm going to do second, square root second answer to get about, rounding to the nearest tenth, I'm just going to go ahead and round to the nearest tenth, is 48.8. Okay, so I solved for my side. Now to solve for my angle, I have to use the law of cosines again because now I know all three sides. So I know this side, and I found my third side. So it's kind of like if we were just given SSS. So now that we have SSS, that means use the law of cosines, and we're going to solve for an angle. And I understand that you might be thinking, but this wasn't given. That's true, but we have to use it. That's the only way we can do it. So we're going to use the law of cosines to find an angle. So it doesn't matter which one you find. You can find M or N, and then we'll find the third one by using the triangle angle sum theorem. I will stick with what I did in my key, which was solving for angle M. And I'm going to choose, instead of using this equation, I'm actually going to use the form of the law of cosines that's already solved for an angle. And so I will just use the one that's labeled angle A. So this is like from your notes. So the measure of angle A is equal to the inverse cosine of, since it's angle A, the first two things squared are the sides not across from angle A. So it's b squared plus c squared. And then it's going to be minus the side across from the angle you're solving for, so minus a squared. And then that's the only time a shows up, and it's divided by twice bc. Now we can use our actual vertices and labels there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with writing the measure of angle. Instead of A, I'm going to write, let's go ahead and do M is equal to the inverse cosine of, so we want the two sides not across from M, so that's going to be N and O. So N's is 31.5 squared, and then plus O squared, so plus 48.8 squared, now minus the one across from A, or M, I'm sorry, which is 21.5 squared. And that's going to be over twice the product of N and O, 31.5 and 48.8. And I actually should have down here, instead of saying, it's not going to let me erase it, but instead of saying B, I should have said O. So O is equal to 48.8, just for your final answer. Okay, and then back over here, end my parenthesis, and end my parenthesis there. Now, I just need to type some stuff in the calculator. Again, I don't recommend putting it all in the calculator at once, especially since you're taking the inverse cosine of it. So I'm going to go ahead and write out one more step here. Go ahead and just type in this whole thing at once. That's okay. That should follow order of operations and be no problem. And when you do that, you'll get 2,911.44 over, the denominator will be 3,074.4. And then all you have to do is, once you get, so you type that in just by itself to get that denominator. Now you can type in inverse cosine of that fraction and you'll get your answer, and then you can solve for that and the third angle. Hope that helps.